Speaking of the several reactions coming in from world leaders, let's talk about what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has communicated in the latest. We're learning, and as the Prime Minister takes this to social media X, he's spoken with the President of Iran. He's spoken with Masoud Pezeshkian, and he says, and I caught him here, we discussed in detail about the current situation, expressed deep concern at the recent escalations, reiterated our call for immediate de-escalation, dialogue and diplomacy as the way forward for early restoration of regional balance. So that's the reaction that's coming from Prime Minister Narendra Modi, talking about this official communication he's had with the President of Iran. Once again, laying emphasis on immediate de-escalation, dialogue and diplomacy, and how this should be the way forward for early restoration of regional peace, security and stability. Now, several experts have been decoding the kind of diplomatic tightrope that India is having to walk as far as this conflict in Middle East is concerned. Going across to Anand Narasimhan, who joins us with more details. Will India need to pick a side is one question that's been asked time and again. But what do you make of this communication, Anand?
Well, this is very, very important. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said, and I quote, I'm reading his tweet, spoke with President of Iran, Dr. Pezeshkian. We discussed in detail about the current situation, expressed deep concern at the recent escalations, reiterated our call for immediate de-escalation, dialogue and diplomacy as the way forward, and for early restoration of regional peace, security and stability. Now, this is one of the important developments through the day that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has confirmed himself on X that he has had a chat with the Iranian president. This is a big message to the entire Shia community in Bharat that Bharat is not actually taking sides in this one. What Bharat wants is that this is not an era of war, this is an era of peace and mutual growth, and that's the messaging that's gone. So even as Bharat's friendship with Israel continues and gives Israel the right to defend its sovereignty, it is also raising concerns about the pounding or the US strikes in Iran. Now, and importantly, that this phone call has happened post the US intervention, post America getting into the fight between Israel and Iran. That's when this call has happened, and this is an important message. Perhaps the message going at multiple ways, and somewhere also a message going to the Iranians that escalation is going to lead the nations nowhere, and it is going to destabilize the entire region. The other part is that we must understand that the Iranian political head is also the Iranian spiritual head. There is immense respect for the Ayatollah Khamenei and the Ayatollahs with respect within the Shia community. There is a huge Shia community in Bharat, and the Shia community is also watching. The Shia community largely peaceful, progressive, and has contributed towards nations wherever they have operated, wherever they have been. There have been significant instances where in the past, despite Iran not taking a favorable position with Bharat and actually backing the Pakistanis and Pakistani agenda with respect to Kashmir, abrogation of 370, abolition of instant teen talaq, and some of the other aspects, despite being a little hawkish with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi picking up the phone, reaching out. The timing of this call is important. It's happened post the US strikes in the nuclear facilities. The worry that any nuclear leakage could destabilize. And of course, the larger part, as Asaduddin Owaisi highlighted, there are more than 16 million Bharatiya or people of Indian origin who are present in this West Asia region across the Middle East. Their safety and well-being is also a big question. If there is a counter-strike on any of the US bases in all these nations by Iran, it could also risk Indian lives. Also, Iran has opened its airspace to facilitate the return of Indian students. And especially from QOM and some of the other regions, it has facilitated 3 Mahan Air flights, and there are other flights also. The airspace being opened specially only for Bharatiya students. That is also significant, and perhaps this call is thereafter. Once the students have come back home, Operation Sindhu has been progressing smoothly, both from Israel and from Iran. Bharat now confirming via Prime Minister Narendra Modi's X handle itself that we've had a conversation with the Iranian president. So the strategic autonomy, engaging with all nations from a Bharatiya point of view and in the mutual interest of all nations is something that Bharat is walking. It's a tightrope with respect to Israel and Iran. We buy a lot of crude from Iran. There is a lot of trade with Iran. The Chabahar port is in Iran, and that's a strategic move for Bharat. So, with respect to the regional dynamics, there is Iran is important. The cultural dynamics, Iran is important. The Avestan culture, the erstwhile Persian culture, all of that finds its roots and connects with the civilizational connect with Bharat. So, and also many people in Jammu and Kashmir and also other parts of the country trace their lineage and descendancy to people in Iran who trace their lineage backwards towards parts of India, parts of Jammu and Kashmir. So, there is a lot of underpinnings here, subtle tugs and pulls that Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Bharatiya government have to navigate when they take a position. But all these factors considered, Prithveen, it's important that it is hours after US wades into the Israel versus Iran conflict.
Yes.
This is hours after that, and this is hours after Prime Minister Narendra Modi stands in Bhubaneswar and says, I told Trump that I have to come to Odisha and that's why I'm not going to come to Washington DC. This is days after the Prime Minister turns down a request from Washington DC and Donald Trump personal request to come and visit the US on the same day as Ashim Munir was going to have lunch with the Pakistanis. Imagine had India gone there along with the hyphenation with Pakistan. Imagine these strikes on Iran and how much of a blowback it could be. So I think Bharat has been very smart strategically and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, his advisors, the team have been very smart in the way they have choreographed, curated his visit to Canada, the G7 summit, and also the response. So while we back every nation like they have backed us to guard their own, protect our defend sovereignty, we are also with nations who are being pounded, who are being attacked, to say that, listen, dialogue and diplomacy is the way forward, not escalation of tensions.
Yes, and this kind of delicate diplomatic balancing act is being witnessed on several nations' part, and for a reason. You just spoke about the story that India has on its side and how India is going to have to take this forward the next few days, months perhaps. Anand, many thanks for joining us with that quick update. I do want to take this to Siddhant Mishra, who joins us with more. Siddhant, speaking of the proposal or the reiteration that's coming from Prime Minister Narendra Modi, we've heard it in the past as well, vis-a-vis other conflicts in different parts of the world. But here's why we need to also lay emphasis on the comment that's just come in from the Iranian foreign minister, who says diplomacy is not an option at the moment. Siddhant.
Well, that's right. And in fact, it is also very important to remind our viewers that India was the first few countries in the world to condemn the Hamas's terror attack on Israel. And, in fact, at that point, Prime Minister Modi spoke to Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu of Israel. And this particular call is significant, as even more significant because this call is being made after United States enters the battlefield. In fact, Iran has helped India in evacuating Indians. In fact, 3 Mahan Air flights were used by Indian government to evacuate Indians from Iran. And now, in fact, he expressed concern at the recent.
We don't have a very clear line with you, I'm afraid, Siddhant. So we'll reconnect that line with you and we'll come to you in just a bit. For now, another interesting update has come in. Iran's foreign minister says he will head to Moscow today. He's going to be meeting Vladimir Putin, which in itself is very interesting because looks like Iran now is in no mood to step back. It has vowed severe consequence vis-a-vis the US action that unfolded the last few hours itself. We will come back to you in just a bit, heading into a quick break. With that, we'll be right back.
Network 18 is now the clear leader in digital media with 55% more users on native platforms and social media than Times Internet. Network 18, the undisputed leader of news networks, way ahead of the times.